friends, welcome to CEC Gurukul Live Lectures. Dear friends, this is our another session on career counseling called Pratibha Samvardhan, and today we have come up with a very new and interesting topic. Most of you have interest in sports, and if you are keenly interested in sports and if you wish to have a career in sports, then we would like to tell you all that our today's topic for the discussion is careers in esports in India. What are the careers which can help you out to be in the esports? So friends, for this discussion we have with us in our studios Mr. Garv Arora. Mr. Garv Arora is an aspiring youth, and he believes in giving back to the society, and he persistently makes efforts so that each one of you from the students community, from the youth community is benefited. So let's welcome our guest, Mr. Garv Arora. Hello Mr. Garv, welcome to the session. So, as our topic of discussion today is the career options in the area of esports, many of us have been and are in the sports industry, the sports era, but now because of the advent of the technology, things are changing even in the sports sector too.
Definitely.
So, what are the options for the students who are looking for the careers in esports?
Now, firstly, in India, it's as we know, it's not developed as of late. Although after COVID, it did increase. But as there's no autonomous body, like the government hadn't acknowledged it till last year in the union budget. Until then, and until now, the Esports Federation of India is an autonomous body controlling all functions surrounding esports. And I think many people have kind of don't they compare traditional sports with esports in a sense that one is physical, so and while you're sitting on a screen in front of a screen, there's nothing much happening. But that's not the case when we see in places like Korea and in Europe and in North America. Events are happening consistently, and there's a developed ecosystem there. And when it comes to careers in specific, it could be either as a player or within the organization as a whole. And I could cover both aspects if you want to.
Yes, definitely. We want to know the different aspects so that the students who wish to be in the area of esports, they can look forward, and yes, they could make a better career in the field. So,
Right. So generally, when it comes to on an organizational level, most of the functions are similar as that of one in the corporate field when it comes to fields like marketing, operations, or social media. And the pay is not as much. You won't get the levels where you get in consulting or on top firms, but it pays enough. But where the real money lies to a great extent is when you play for an organization or individually. And in that regard, it comes down to various games. It's not just one game. There are multiple fields of esports. There could be real-time strategy, there could be team-based, individual-based, and most in India specifically, we are looking at most of the events are on the basis of teams. There's not much for an individual aspect. And I would like to cover one specific experience of mine on that. There was the Asian Games qualifiers going on for the 2022 Asian Games in Hangzhou, China, and I participated in it for Hearthstone. That's an individual game, but yeah, the game was featured in the Chinese Asian Games, and I got eliminated in that, but I decided to commentate the quarterfinals. That's one field you could go into. You don't need to be a part of an organization. There's this community called Broadcast GG, which is on Discord, and they have casting opportunities on an entry level basis and for experienced people as well. And if you want to build your portfolio, they also offer volunteering opportunities for various games. And this is international. You could cast a game which is happening in the middle of the night in India, which is going on in North America. And I might have covered the corporate part, and that remains the same, and the pay is generally from 25k per month to 80k per month in hand, and that excludes all bonuses excludes any kinds of bonuses, and this is all base pay.
So what else, or what are the other options for the students who wish to be in the particular field? does one has to be eligible in particular area or in this particular field? What are the eligibility criteria if somebody wants to be in the esports industry?
There's no specific criteria to compete except age limits. Most tournaments have, in North America generally it's above 16, in Europe it's above 13, and in South Korea it's above 18. So that varies from country to country or region to region. But in India, for Battleground BGMI specifically, the biggest game in the country, it's I think for the Indian series it was 16 plus, and it was teams of 4, and you could register yourself through the opens, or if you were you were part of an invited team, you would be eligible to participate from the main competition directly.
It means anyone, anywhere can
Yep.
be the part of this industry,
Yep.
whether he or she is a student or one is a professional in some other field also.
Yep.
One can go and opt for this particular industry. So, if somebody is from the sports background, does it has an advantage?
No, I don't think anyone has an advantage, but I do think there's an advantage when it comes to the age factor, because these games, most of them, like most of the team-based games are fast-paced, and this is where, since in we talked about Europe, it's 16 to 18. The players who are 18 to 21 would have a much better advantage when it comes to cognitive abilities, as they would not be regressing after the age of, let's say, 27-30 onwards. But there's no such advantage aside from that, and anyone can compete.
Anyone can compete. Now, if I, for example, in this particular country called India, and if a particular game is going in other part of the world, so how much feasible it is for me or for the particular, I mean, the industry or the area or the type of game which is being played, is it easier or it is difficult?
Are you comparing the competition in India versus
competition as well as also how easier it is for me to, I mean, be the part of that particular sports?
it in India? The entry is much easier, but it's harder to like stay, because the the cream of the crop is much stronger. Like, there's Nodwin Gaming, which is the biggest organization in India, and below that, like, you could think of it like clusters. Like, the top clusters would be probably Global Gaming or Nodwin, and below that the gap is huge. And if it takes, most organizations usually have not sustained after 2 years. Within 2 years they went insoluble, but the ones that have gone on, they've managed to build a good base, for good grassroots level for people that want to enter the sports.
Now, e-sports, when we're talking about, E means internet, E means electronic. So, what technical facility one is required to have, because it becomes very mandatory, because you are at your particular place or space, and from there you are the part of the entire competition, the scenario going on. So, how important it is to be technically equipped?
It is, as you said, it's mandatory, but I think in India it's much easier because of the advent of handheld devices being prominent across the country, and most of the games that are in India, they are remote as well as in person. In-person events are generally finals, and I think in India there's not much of an issue. If you have a decent mobile device or handheld device, you can compete. And aside from that, if you want to play internationally, I think having a well-equipped computer does help.
Now, on a clear note, would like to ask you, like, we have number of apps, number of games available these days, and most of the youths are, I mean, youth is involved in all those particular games.
Yeah.
So, do you feel so that it could be included in the mainstream sports industry?
Yes, I think it can be included in the mainstream sports industry. Adding on, in the Paris 2024 Olympics, esports will be a part, and it'll have 3 games in specific: Counter-Strike, Dota 2 and League of Legends. And I think that's a big step. Of course, it's featured in the Olympics, and I hope our country can have someone that participates in the same.
Now, to be in the event like Olympics, there is always, when you are there in the field, there are certain criterias that why a particular sports person is being selected to be the part of the Olympics. Now, playing through esports, I mean, being a part of the esports industry and then being a part of the event like Olympics, there must be some certain rules or certain guidelines or criterias which one needs to follow, because anyone can say, I am eligible, I can play. So under that condition, how it would be managed?
And now, when it comes to selection, the Esports Federation of India handles all this. In deep regards, they organize the National Esports Championship for every event. Recently, it was for the Global Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which will be held in October this year. And last year in 2023, it was for last year in 2023 there were no such events, but in 2022 we had for the Asian Games, in which there were a few events including Hearthstone, there was Tekken, there was Counter Strike, amongst others. And the ESFI, I refer to them as ESFI, they organize this esports championship and have kind of a knockout system, and they select the best performers from that championship, that tournament. You don't need to win specifically, but depending on how you perform, they choose who will represent.
So, what is the, I mean, I would to know the future of the sport industry, because the way it is growing, as you told, and the way we are seeing our kids or the youth is involving and they're spending their time on playing the esports. So, what is the future of this industry?
The future is bright, I would say. In the union budget, it was recognized as a multi-sport event in the country, which means any event which would have various types of events, like the decathlon, for example. This, in regards to esports, it would be probably having a 3-day long event which has an individual one and a team one. And in the union budget, it was recognized. And I think we have many Indian players. Tirth Mehta, who was the bronze medalist for Hearthstone in 2018 in the Asian Games, and Charanjot Singh, who represents Chelsea, Chelsea's esports team. Chelsea is a football team in London, and he has won over 30,000 playing tournaments and was the representative for FIFA in the Asian Games 2022. And although didn't win, but he went far in the tournament.
Do you feel so, or are there any predictions that this sports industry, that is esports industry, can overpower the sport industry which is persistently working? So, can it overpower, or they will go hand in hand?
I think it cannot overpower because we know the prominence of cricket in the country. The IPL is widely watched. Even people who don't watch cricket get along to see the games. This isn't the same with esports, which is also a spectator sport, but it's not as much known in India due to the generation gap and due to lack of technology between the generations. But I think they'll go hand in hand. We know, as I mentioned, Chelsea and most of the football teams, they have their own esports division now, and they go into various events, and it's in that way it's easier to get into an international team as well. I think Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, the football team from Paris, also has one. They don't just have football; they have it in various fighting games as well, and first-person shooters as well. And I think if we can have IPL teams make their own esports vertical, it would be great.
And in a sense, it would be helpful to the masses or a big chunk who can be involved in sports, because if we talk about normal sports industry, where here the rules are very, very stringent, your physical strengths, your limitations are always there with the, because of that, no, I mean, it's a Herculean task to be in a particular sports these days.
Definitely.
But do you feel so that the esports industry, it gives you a path to be inside?
I think the physical requirements in esports are quite a lot as well, because players have to stick in front of a screen for hours on end. Some events go on for 6 to 8 hours every day, and the players have to be well equipped with health. And I'll give the example of South Korea. They have sports. Every esports team has a mandatory requirement of having a sports psychologist within their esports vertical, and I think that's why they've highlighted the importance of having good health, because if someone has say bad eyesight, they'll struggle as compared to someone who is well prepared, well hydrated, got good rest. And I think the same applies in traditional sports. That's much more clearer. We see players have to be physically training every day, but in esports I think the training is probably going to be based on the game you're playing. Say for a shooter game, you'd be practicing your aim on a daily basis, and you would probably play a few practice games against your teammates or against people from other organizations. And the same goes in traditional sports. You'll be playing practice games throughout your day, and I think the same would be in esports.
And if you compare the two sports area, the esports and the normal one, the traditional one, in one we basically give more stress to the physical strengths, and the other one, that is the esports, their mental strength is very important.
Yep.
And for that we need trainers in both the ends.
Yep.
वहाँ पर हमें कहीं ना कहीं हमें अब जैसे you likewise you said that we need the psychologist who will keep having a brainstorming sessions
Yep.
with us that you can do it.
Yep.
सिमिलरली अगर हम नॉर्मल इंडस्ट्री की बात करें, नॉर्मल स्पोर्ट्स की बात करें, ट्रेडिशनल की बात करें, तो वहाँ पर हमारे पास फिटनेस एक्सपर्ट्स हैं एंड नंबर ऑफ पीपल, द डाइट पीपल हु आई मीन टेक चार्ज ऑफ आवर थिंग्स. बट हियर your mental health is more important.
Yep, definitely. And I think physical health, I think both are equally important, I would say, because you playing a game for 6 to 8 hours every day, eventually burnout occur ho jata hai, and of course health should always come first, and I think both are equally important. Even in traditional sports, having a sports psychologist would help a team, bahut madad karega. And same way when it comes to esports, the global esports games in November in Saudi Arabia, a women's team qualified. I don't remember the name exactly, but it was a great achievement for them. I think it was in CS:GO. They beat 8 teams from the women's side participated, represented India to try and qualify, and I think for them it's a great achievement. And when it comes to their health, I think there's another factor to be considered when we consider several other aspects.
Very true. And when we talk about sports in itself, we talk about our health first, because your health is what will take you to heights. Definitely. Or it will make you fall down. And as we have discussed about how your mental health and physical health in both the cases are important, because being an immobile medium, this esports, it raises the certain health issues, both in terms of mental health as well as physical health, because you're continuously sitting and playing your sport.
Yep. And adding on, one of the players in around the time of COVID-19 from Germany, I don't know his real name, but he went by the name of ISSA from Germany. He had to retire because of a hand injury, and he used to play a game on the computer, mouse and keyboard platform, and he had an injury on his right hand and he couldn't continue anymore.
So the crux of the story is you need physical strengths as well as mental strengths in both the cases, whether you are into the traditional sports industry or the esports industry. But youth is more into this industry, the esports industry, as we have seen, and the way people are moving forward. Definitely. So one has to take care of his or her health. Being a girl or boy, now it's not a criteria. Yep. One can be into the esports industry. So what else do you have for the students who really wish to be in this particular industry?
Well, I would firstly suggest you pick a game specifically if you want to get into either casting or you want to play a game. If you want to play a game, pick a genre, I would say. Preferably, I would say start off with team-specific games, because it would help you in other parts of your life as well. And I would suggest start off with team-based games, as I said, and pick a genre. If it's a shooting game, play various shooting games. You can stick to one specific or play various kinds. Find a group. There are many communities on Discord. You can find people you can ask them if they are up for a game, and then try to focus on that specific genre. I won't say diversify what you're playing. And same goes for casting. If you want to get into commentary, you can generally just pick a specific game, go deep into its technical aspects, or focus on color commentary, which would focus on the more entertaining part of the matches that would be going on. And finally, I would add on to this that if you want to get into an organization, I would suggest try to network with people, because esports is a very compact industry. There are very few teams that are sustaining themselves. And if you have connections, you can try to get in touch with people from Nordwin, from Global Esports, from Soul Gaming, amongst others, and uh, you can pick your profile. You could either be a caster for them, you could be a social media manager, you could be a business development executive for them, because esports is now recognized as a multi-event sport, as I mentioned, and organizations are functioning as a business. And networking would help you if you want to get into an organization, but you can start off individually through identifying your interests.
Now you have given so many information, so much of information right now, and I myself was not familiar with this all. But if I really want to be into the esports industry, from where could I get all the information? Because it is very mandatory if I'm entering into certain thing. So having a beforehand information would definitely help me to grow. So from where one can search out this information?
All the information is available on Esports Federation of India's Discord server, where they cover their first page is what is esports. You open and you'll find what is esports, and the chairperson, the vice president of Asian Esports Federation, Mr. Lokesh Suji, covers all aspects and compares them to how gambling in India is considered e-gaming, but it's not, and gives various examples of, as I mentioned, there would be team based, there would be real-time strategy, or individual games, and then it would cover. They have a page where they cover all their updates, their news updates from Live Mint or any other news journal, where any updates come regarding an event or any legal landscape, ongoing current affairs, and any competition that will happen. They cover it on their social media pages and on their Discord server, where everything is cross platform sent.
Definitely, one needs to study in whatever field we are, in whatever field we want to make our careers. It is important to have beforehand information, and when we are into the field also, of course, then also we need to learn every time. So, yep. Mr. Garv, thank you so much for giving us this wonderful session. How one can make career in esports industry, and how lucrative it can be, we would be knowing further. So, friends, keep watching us and keep giving your feedbacks to us. Thank you for watching.